neither is the Earth, and certainly neither are we.
Well, there's that, and I genuinely believe as well that this idea that I mean, okay, it's what 5 billion years away before the sun actually collapses, although the collapse is actually an expansion and consumes the Earth. You know what prospect there
Now,
is
somebody
there
else is.
for travelling across space and colonizing another planet? I mean, I really genuinely think that that is a fanciful idea that will never happen. But there we are. That's my
Yeah,
viewpoint.
yeah. I started studying um, concepts for space travel a while back, and even if you had a means of simulating, artificial gravity, if you had, well, I don't even want to go into it. It's too long and drawn out. But you're right. There are logistics problems in the extreme with that idea.
Uh,
Okay, I'm checking the board again.
yeah.
Realistically, space is huge and we aren't. I want that on a T-shirt. By the way, I have to watch what I say now. I mean, I posted something on one of my discussion boards, and 12 hours later, I saw that it was a T-shirt being sold on Zazzle.
Well, sorry. Can you answer a few questions? I've got.
Yes, please.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, I've just got to try and sort something out.
Okay. Somebody says 800 million years, so chemical reaction would go foobar. Okay, I don't know where they came up with that estimate. We know it's going to happen eventually. Fortunately, it's not on any calendar I have access to. Put your picture in a T-shirt and say it's a Bigfoot sighting. Yes, you're welcome to. What did it say? Well, you just have to look up the T-shirt to get that. Do I like living in Texas? Everywhere I've ever lived, with the one exception of Iowa and Texas, was someplace that other people would send postcards to, wish you were here. So, I mean, Dallas is not the greatest place I've ever lived, but I've seen a hell of a lot worse. I mean, I've driven through a hell of a lot worse. I drove through Kansas City, Missouri, and I remember somebody I knew there said, "Isn't this a beautiful city?" And I'm like, "You got to be fucking kidding me." And then, I mean, I don't understand how people can live like in Lansing, Michigan, and or Swindon or places like that, and not be bored shitless. At least I have Dallas. I mean, Dallas is a happening city. I used to live in Las Vegas. I lived in Los Angeles. I mean, went to Minneapolis, got to party my face off in that town. I was very impressed with Minneapolis. And everybody says Minnesota's completely different. I was like, okay, I don't care about the rest of it. Minneapolis rocked. Um, that's just the kind of environment I grew up in. I couldn't stand living in some Toledo, Ohio, or someplace like that. It's so boring. I'm also a little irritated that here in Texas we don't have mountains. I've always had mountains on my horizon. I lived along and through the Rockies. I've had a residence in Alaska, Arizona, Oregon, Washington, California, Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, Colorado, and West Texas, where there are still some mountains. And then I moved to Dallas, and I get up in a high office building where I've got a two-corner view, and the horizon is a straight line. It's eerie. It's unnatural. All right, I'm going to check some of the
Sorry, please.
questions on the board.
I'm trying to multitask at the moment, and it's not helping.
Washington, when I lived in Seattle, in just before Mount St. Helens went off, I was a kid at that time. So gorgeous, so beautiful. There were ultralights in the air every morning, and everything was just ridiculously green and wet all the time. And we would go down to the Puget Sound, which was just 2 blocks from where I lived, and somebody, I mean, you see people with what are they called? The twin-masted schooners. You saw a lot of those, very beautiful sailing ships, but somebody had an old Spanish brig, so there was actually an old pirate ship that they would be sailing through there, and it was just so gorgeous. I'm so sad that I had to leave there. Beautiful place. And Mount St. Helens, or not Mount St. Helens, Mount Rainier. Mount Rainier is huge. I mean, other people talk about, having big mountains in their area, but I mean, Rainier was awesome. You could drive to it for hours, and it's still on the horizon. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. Somebody going back to Australia. Yeah. Incesturbation. Okay. Do I do any sport? I like to play. I've never understood anybody that could watch. I really don't. I've never watched a football game. I've never watched a soccer game. I watched a hockey game and nobody got into a fight, so it was the only one I ever saw. I don't understand how anybody can sit back and listen to an announcer's voice, talking about the stats and statistics of some guy you're never going to meet. I remember when I got when I was in middle school, we did the tackle football thing, and I remember I had a great deal of fun with that because I just got to hit the guy with the ball. That was my job. I didn't want the ball. I didn't want to kick it. But there's a guy who got a ball, and I'm supposed to knock him down, and that was a great deal of fun. And then what they did, they changed it so that I couldn't tackle anybody anymore. They got these little flags. It became flag football, and you had Velcroed flags, and this was ingenious. They put it on the sides of your little 1970s tennis shorts that we had to wear for playing PE, which means as I'm diving for somebody to grab these flags off of his shorts, invariably I'm pulling his pants down. Yeah, that's much worse than actually tackling the kid, right? Yeah, well, so much for that. So I'm not into any particular sport. I did play Society for Creative Anachronisms for about 10 years and AmpGuard 2. These are both where simulated medieval combat. A great deal of fun to go out there and hit somebody in the head with very heavy sticks and 16 gauge steel armor and heavy padding, and you just don't feel any more manly than when you go out there with a shield and a sword or an axe and bludgeon somebody into an ambulance. I sent 6 people to the hospital, and that is really a lot of fun.
When I called you the Texan tank, I was not wrong, was I?
I went to this one event. It was so awesome. I was wearing I was wearing furs of like 11 different skinned animals over very rusty reticulated armor, and I had a helmet like Thulsa Doom from the old Conan movie with these horns. They were stuck on the side. They were fixed so that you could knock them off with a sword, and I would just plug them back in. But I had the horned helmet, and I had my shield, my axe, my sword, and I was on a field with 900 medieval warriors. And across this virgin grass
Yes, if you can't hear Aaron, it's because he's frozen. Everything is fine. It's frozen at your end, not his. So just no, actually, Aaron, you have frozen. So um, I can hear you, but that's because I'm talking to you on Skype. I think you may need to refresh your page. Can you see yourself moving? Yeah. Unfortunately, it happens. We've got over 1,000 people in the room. I suspect that might have something to do with it. Now, what I've got, and I knew that this was going to happen. What I have is are about 8 people who all want to be on in the next 2 hours. Um, All right. Okay. Now, no, that's yeah. Now, because you've said that to me on Skype, I'm just going to relay it to the people who are watching because I don't think that they can hear you at the moment. Aaron is going to bow out now. He is going to be around until about 9 o'clock tomorrow morning my time, which means, in fact, unfortunately he's already gone. He will be back later. Can we have a massive thumbs up, please, for Aaron? Wonderful contribution. Thank you very much indeed, and hopefully we'll get you back on